Fantastic. I can see you're rocking the Tom Brady New England jersey this week.
Yeah, we got a little Super Bowl 52 jersey going. 53? 53.
53. The
Yeah,
last
we got
Super
a
Bowl.
little Tom Brady action today.
Every time it's something different. You're always full of surprises, which
That's the goal.
You always keep me on my toes. I'm just so predictable. I got my Broncos gear all the time, and every time you're either rocking Chiefs, you got Commanders. You're just rocking every jersey, man. That's fantastic.
Hey, I'm close. I'm getting close to having every team. I'm getting there.
That's so cool. That's so amazing. Before we dive into last week's picks, I wanted to actually write this down. So going into last week, what was your record like overall again?
I believe whatever it was 2 worse than yours.
So 40.
41, I think.
Yeah, and then 23 maybe because I'm
41
43
and
and 21.
23 sounds correct.
Okay, sounds great. So, if you want to talk about your picks last week, what you were surprised about, what you were disappointed about, and then we'll round everything up.
You see, I was really confident going into it. I really was.
Yep.
And then I don't know. I mean, they were good games. It wasn't really anything that was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. But it was just a rough week for me. 7-7 on the week. It was, oh boy. We'll get back to it this week. I mean, there's not a whole lot I can do about that.
Yeah, I definitely took the L last week too. I was actually one worse than you. I was 6-8. So any confidence I had going into this week was like minimized to say the least. Because before this week's 5, I either had 11-5 or 13-3. So I was on top of the world.
Oh yeah.
And then, week 4 I was 8-8. So I was humbled by being back to 500 with 16 games. And then obviously I was below 500 this week. So I'm hoping to get back to above 500, but we'll see what happens. Before we get into everything, though, I did want to just touch base with a couple of games. I know we did talk about this previously. Was the Colts and Jaguars, and I know it's going to be bitter because you're in their division, but the Ravens and the Bengals. What a wild game both of those were. I was glued to the TV when the Indy and Jacksonville game started. It started off pretty slow, in my opinion, but then it picked up. And, it seemed like in the fourth quarter, it was like touchdown one way, touchdown the other way, touchdown. It was just touchdowns. It was like Oprah. They're just giving away touchdowns to everybody. It was so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the league better watch out for a guy by the name of Brian Thomas. Boy, oh boy, did he put on a show. That's who I was mainly surprised with, other than Flacco, of course. But I don't know. You see a guy running routes out there, and you're like, man, he's going to beat my team one day. Single-handedly, he's going to put up 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he's just one of those guys, and I think he proved it that past week here. But I don't know. It was a fun game, very fun game, and I'd like to see Flacco succeed.
No kidding. And speaking of Flacco, I remember we talked about this just yesterday, wherever it was, that he's like a pocket passer. He's not like a Lamar where he's going to be running out and running down 30 yards. He'd be lucky if he gets 10 yards if he's going to run. But I remember watching, I've been watching football forever, and I'm going to sound ancient saying this, but I remember when I first followed watching it was like in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was nothing but pocket passers. They just hike the ball, look for the best receiver. They if there's someone coming towards them, they'd probably try to run away and avoid the sack. But you didn't have a Lamar Jackson, you didn't have a Patrick Mahomes, you didn't have like a Josh Allen back in those days where it was like they're so unpredictable. Nowadays, if I'm a pass rusher and I think I got a clear shot at the quarterback, well, now he's probably going to be 3 steps ahead of me running in the opposite direction. I'm going to look foolish on tape by the end of it. So it's so crazy how evolved the game has gone in over 20 years that I've been watching football. So just your take. What do you think?
Well, it's just like, I'll put it this way. When Mike Vick came into the league, he was a unicorn, right? Never seen that kind of thing before. These days, if there was an elite pocket passer, I'm calling him a unicorn. All right? If I can have a guy stand in the pocket and move around with the D-line closing in and find his open receivers without having to scramble or run a read option every other play, that guy's generational. I mean, like, think about the Big Bens of the world, just like some absolute meatballs. Like, oh, the Ryan Tannehills of the world, all right? Like, I don't know. I prefer seeing a guy stand in there and just deliver the rock, but it's also fun to see them scramble out and hit throws on the run. So,
It's more exciting. I'll put it that way.
yeah.
Before it was fairly predictable because, like you said, you'd have Big Ben. He'd be back there. He'd be looking for a wide receiver, tight end, running back, whoever's available. He wasn't looking to run the ball at all. And if you look at even like Tom Brady, and I know we talked about how you have his jersey. He was never known for his feet. Like he never,
Mm-mm.
rarely, very scarcely would you see him run for a first down or run whatever it is. Like obviously you have to run away if you have defender getting close on you to avoid the sack. But you never saw like a Brady or like a Peyton Manning running down the field for 30, 40 yards. Everyone knew they were in their pockets and all they're doing is just looking for a wide open target, I guess.
Well, and that's just it. They did it because they had to, not because they wanted to, right? They ran because, "Oh boy, that's my last option. I gotta take off here." Whereas it seems like certain guys are almost looking to get out there and run instead of standing in the pocket. But the league's evolving, and that's just how it's gonna be.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it is, and I know it will happen one day. It might be the end of this season. Who knows? But once Flacco does retire, I can't think of any other quarterback in the league that's just a pocket passer. I'm pretty sure
No.
everybody is a mobile quarterback now, and I feel like you have to get that training maybe in high school, especially university when you're developing, and then obviously going to the camp as well. So I just think that nowadays players are more mobile than they ever were before. And I'll just touch on this before we make our little predictions. Is running backs nowadays? They are like a complete package. They can help you with the
Mhm.
block. They can help. They can run routes. They don't just run the ball anymore. You're not just a running back. You're not just getting the ball and running down the field. You have so many different things you could do, and then like there's so many fake handoffs. So it looks like you're going to grab the ball, but maybe the receiver does a run instead. So it's so crazy how there's so much you need to do at your position. And then even wide receivers, how many times have you seen a wide receiver throw a ball to another wide receiver for a touchdown? Like that never happened back in the 2000s. It was strictly the quarterback throwing the ball, and that was it. It may have happened scarcely, but nowadays it seems like it's now more than ever that they have to do more than just catch the ball.
Well, yeah, it seems like I'll put it in a little video game term here. The new college football game, if you're like you have a dynasty, like if you're running your own organization, when you're scouting, there's a certain position called athlete. And that's what the league's turning into, which I mean, I don't mind, right? It's these guys aren't just one position. They're athletes. They can do it all, right? Like you look at a guy, let me just pick Justin Jefferson,
Yep.
right? You look at this guy, he can run routes on you. He can probably play corner. He can run the ball as a running back. We've seen him throw the ball, right? Like these guys are athletes. They're not just born a quarterback at whatever. They've played it since they were 10 years old, like someone like Brady would have, right?
Yep.
Played it his whole career. These guys have tried out everything. They played around and I don't know, they're evolving. It's evolution.
It's so crazy that you said that because I just thought of two other examples as well. Is how you talked about how Justin Jefferson could possibly play like a cornerback. There's
Mhm.
been so many times where you saw wide receivers play on the defensive side of things. Now, maybe it's due to injuries, or I know there's been times where it's been like the last play of the game and they want to have the best. Like if you're on defense, you want to have the best player available.
Mhm.
And even though you may have a very good cornerback, if your wide receiver is either that much taller or that much more like better with his hands, then there's times where they've been put into those positions. And then speaking of positions, how many times have you seen offensive linemen getting involved with touchdowns? That never happened back in the early, not like late 90s or early 2000s. They were just strictly there to block. And that was it. That was their job, to either make room for the running back to go through, the fullback, or to obviously help the quarterback stay in the pocket if that was the case. So I just think it's crazy. It seems like every position, and even kickers, Because
Mm-hmm.
if your kicker goes down, your punter has to take over, or if your punter goes down, your kicker probably has to take over. So it's just so crazy how you have to be like multitasking nowadays, now more than ever.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly like you said. Now more than ever have we seen that.
It's so crazy. I can't even fathom that. I mean, if I was trying out for a position and says I want to do this, and the coach would be like, "Well, actually, you're going to do this and that and this as well." It's like, wow, this is a lot to take in.
Yeah, and I mean, like, props to Travis Hunter. This guy's out there. I mean, man, elite at both sides of the ball. I understand playing, one side really well, and then the other side you're pretty okay at. But man, he plays the position perfectly on both ends. So I'm interested on that end to see when he comes to the league because he's just finishing up college here. When he comes to the league, I'm wondering which side he sways between college or between corner and receiver.
And I feel like even though we have talked about how players are doing different things, that it'd be such a high risk. It's like a high risk, high reward thing in my opinion. Because if you do start like a Justin Jefferson at the cornerback, what
Mhm.
happens if he gets hurt and he's not
Yeah.
even supposed to be on the defensive side of things? So I feel like with all of these potential great things, could also be very drastic as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, more workload, you're more bound to be injured, right?
Yeah.
But I
Like, how
mean,
many times have you seen guys on the sidelines and they're just trying to catch their breath? So imagine if, like, say your team either just went 3 and out, or you just got an interception or a fumble. Now you got to be on the defensive side of things. You're trying to catch your breath, and you're like, oh my god, I got to guard this guy. Good luck.
yeah, and I mean, I just want to touch on this from earlier when you were talking about the offensive lineman. Oh boy, there's nothing better than seeing the big boys get active. I'm sorry to sidetrack here, but this was just on my mind because I don't know if you saw, but there was a little man on Monday Night Football who picked off Mahomes and took that thing for a rumble. Boy, the joy that I get watching a big boy rumble is it's special. And then,
Yep.
like you said, getting air on the sidelines, you got, oh man, I can just hear them. Oh, 2. I mean, oh,
So there was 2 quick examples, and I know I keep saying I want to do this, but I just want to talk about this real quick, and then we'll get on to our predictions. But I know I wasn't alive, but I'm sure you probably heard of like William the Refrigerator Perry.
oh yeah,
He was a defensive lineman, and then there was one infamous time when he was playing with the Bears where he ran it in as
yeah,
a halfback. And my first thought was, my God, if someone that big is coming towards me, I'm just going to let them go, because otherwise they're going to just barrel through me like
oh yeah,
someone that big and beastly. And then I don't know if you remember Warren Sapp. He
of
played for
course.
the Buccaneers and then the Raiders, and then I think he lined up as a tight end, and I'll never forget that touchdown that he scored in the end zone. So yeah, I also appreciate when the bigger guys get involved in the action.
Oh yeah, nothing better.
Alrighty, so heading into this week, since you just said you were 7-7, so heading into week number 6, you would be 48 and 30. And after my poor 6-8 week, I am 49 and 29. So now you're just a game behind me, buddy. So if you kick ass at week number 7, or week number 6, I should say, you can easily take over. There's no question about it. So 14 games on tap. I'll just go over this real quick. So we have 4 teams that have their bye week. The Chiefs are 5-0. They're still perfect on the season. One of 2 teams that are still undefeated. We have the Los Angeles Rams are 1-4. The Miami Dolphins, who got a rare win, 2-3, and the other undefeated team has the Minnesota Vikings. Out of all 4 of those teams, before we get into our predictions, who either disappoints you the most, or who are you really surprised about?
Out of those 4,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think the Dolphins were going to win a game after Tua went down, so that shocked me.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Vikings are shocking. I mean, last time I checked, Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts. So, I mean, this came out of nowhere. I thought maybe it was one of those 1-month Linsanity runs, but man, the guy's still putting it on, and good for him. A little change of scenery, and here he goes. It's crazy how one change of a team, a switch of a coach, can change a whole career.
It's almost like he's on like this redemption thing, and just like a lot
Mhm.
of things. And I did see a list, and I forgot to save the picture, but they're talking about, because he was drafted by the Jets, and obviously he did poorly there, but then he also signed with the Panthers. And if you look at all the history of the Panthers, and obviously they obviously had Cam Newton. He was fantastic during his tenure. But since then, they have just been struggling to find a quarterback. I think they benched. Andy Dalton is their quarterback now, but they benched their sophomore quarterback. So it's crazy how, like, when you're in a rebuild, you should have, yes, you're going to have struggles, but Bryce Young does not seem like he's the answer for the Panthers.
No, definitely not. At least, I mean, not with the supporting cast he has. I mean, he definitely hasn't shown any sign of being the guy. So, again, it's probably going to be one of those Darnold situations where he gets traded for a third-round pick, and wherever he winds up, maybe a starter goes down, and he shows that he can do it on another team. But at this point, his career is looking grim.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And I will just touch base that at the beginning of the year, I would have guessed for the NFC North that it would have been like the Lions or the Packers battling for that crown. But it seems like this might be Minnesota's division for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, I had the Lions winning that division 100%, but wow.
Never would have guessed that.
Vikings.
I guess you just have to get out of Carolina, and then your career will excel. I mean, look at
exactly.
Mayfield.
Oh, man. Looks like we're going to Carolina.
So Thursday we have the NFC West matchup. We have the Seattle Seahawks 3-2 and the San Francisco 49ers, who are 2-3. They're off to a very poor start, considering I believe they were like Super Bowl favorites or contenders since they went their last year. Obviously, injuries are playing a factor, and not having Christian McCaffrey on the team. And I'd be very surprised if he even comes back, if I'm going to be honest with you, because if he has both of those problems, which I think we discussed in our last video, it's going to be very tough for him to come back. So if you had to make a bold prediction as to who would win and a potential score, what would you say?
I'm going to touch on McCaffrey quick.
Yep.
And I've actually heard a couple things that he could be coming back in late November, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently it was going really well over the past week or so. But hopefully he can come back because I love watching him play. With that being said, the Niners and the Seahawks rivalry is like my favorite rivalry to watch in football. I don't know why. I think when I was younger, my dad's a huge Niners fan.
Yep.
So we always watched those games, and I just remember hating the Seahawks growing up. I'm taking the Birds.
Sounds good.
The Niners are too banged up right now.
Yep.
It's Thursday night football. Gino loves the lights. We're taking the Birds. It's going to be a really close game. Always is. I'm thinking, probably in the realm of 27-24.
Sweet. You know what's crazy is I had the Seahawks 24-20. I think it's going to be a one-score game. I don't see either team running away with this one, and especially with division matchups, they're so key. And it's not like these two teams are like 0-5, like they're neck and neck. So obviously, the 49ers win, they'll be ahead of the Seahawks. If the Seahawks win, they'll be 2 games ahead of the 49ers. This is a very key game for both these teams moving for Thursday. Chicago is playing host to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're playing very well, 3-2. And the Jaguars finally got their first win, as we discussed previously, against the Colts, 1-4. What's your take?
Oh, I mean, the Bears are rolling. The Jaguars barely squeaked out of Indy. Almost losing to a near. How old's Flacco? 40?
He's got to be 40, if not maybe 39. He's got to be up there.
Let's say you almost lose to a 4-year-old quarterback who's been on 5 teams in the past 4 years.
Yep.
Right? The Jags don't look good. The Bears are on the rise. Caleb Williams seems to have it in order now. He seems to be playing so much better than he was the first few weeks of the year here. So, taking the Bears probably by a decent margin. Let's go 31-16.
Perfect. I got the Bears as well. I'm going to say 27-17. I think it's going to be at least a 10-point margin, if not more. I just think the Jaguars are just, because of the poor start, I think it's going to be hard for them to get out of that hole. I mean, I could say the Bears, and then Trevor Lawrence could look like his old self and come and shine. But after, again, even though they did win, he still didn't look that great, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we have the Ravens 3-2. They're on a 3-game winning streak, taking on the unpredictable, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the 4-1 Washington Commanders. What's your take?
Please, Jaden Daniels, save us. I don't know if I've had more fun watching a rookie quarterback than I have with Jaden Daniels. The guy's electric. He's so fun to watch. We got absolutely crushed by the Commanders this past week. Just demolished. It was sickening. Ugh, just awful. But man, the kid's special. I'm excited to see what he does. I'm hoping I can get my hands on a couple, rookie cards. See if I can get something big and hold on to it for a bit. But I like what I'm seeing. I'm happy to see the Commanders. I hope that they change their name. I hate saying Commanders. Washington. But I love what Washington's doing. They're playing the Ravens, you said?
Yes.
Oh, please. Oh, I would love it so much if the Ravens lost this game. And with that being said, I'm taking the Commanders.
Alrighty.
Shock the world. I mean, come on. Ooh, what do we think for the score? Let's go 26. No, that's weird. 24 to 19.
Sure, that sounds pretty good. Just because the Ravens are home, and I think it's going to be a very close matchup, I will give them the edge because Derrick Henry seems like he finally found his legs. Lamar's playing like we expected him to. But I think it's going to be 27 to 26. I think it's either going to come down to a last-second field goal or a potential miss for the Commanders. And I'm with you. They got to change that name up. Either bring back the Redskins or do something else because Commanders just isn't doing it for me.
Yeah, it's not cutting it anymore. Here, I'm going to open up the blinds.
Add a little bit of light. There you go.
There we go.
So now we have the Green Bay Packers 3-2. They're coming off a win against the Arizona Cardinals, who got a shocking win over the 49ers. They could be one of those sleeper teams that a lot of people doubt, and they could prove myself wrong. What's your take again on this matchup?
I like the Cardinals in this one. I mean, big win last week, obviously, but I like what they're doing over there. Kyler seems to be playing well. He's connecting with Marvin Harrison quite well. Their tight end is obviously great with McBride, and I personally love James Conner. So he might be banged up right now. Don't quote me on that. But regardless, I'm going to take the Cardinals in this one. Probably a boring score. It's going to be something basic like 17 to 14. It's going to be one of those games where you watch and you're like, yeah, Arizona's got this. Probably not going to be an exciting one.
No, and I'm with you on this one. I'm going to go with the Cardinals on this one as well. I just think, yes, the Packers are home and Jordan Love is doing okay, but Kyler Murray, I think he has a lot to prove to a lot of doubters because of obviously the past 2 seasons they've been extremely poor, and the fact that they're ahead of the Rams in the standings, I didn't see that coming. I thought the Rams would have been like third at worst or maybe second. So I mean, if the Cardinals win this one, they can easily have a 2-game lead on LA. So that's they got a lot riding on this, and obviously if they get back to 500, get to 3-3. And depending on how Seattle does, they could be in a tie for first place.
Yeah, and I mean, I can see like a huge explosion game out of Murray on the ground. I'm thinking it's probably going to be a really big running game, both sides. I think Jacobs will probably have a big game for the Packers, and then Kyler's probably going to have 100 yards on the ground. That's my bold prediction of the week. Kyler's going for 100 on the ground.
100 on the ground sounds good. So we have the Patriots 1-4 taking on the 4-1 Houston Texans. I think this is going to be a one-sided affair, but I'll get your prediction before I say mine.
It's going to be rough. Unfortunately, my current favorite player in the league, Nico Collins, is hurt. Unfortunate. Landed on IR today. So he's out for at least 4 weeks, but I still think that there's plenty of weapons to go around for Stroud. I mean, even last year when Tank Dell went down, they still did just fine. So, I mean, they're not slowing down against the Patriots. It's gonna be rough. The Patriots might not score a touchdown. They probably won't. It's gonna be rough. I'm gonna go on 27-6.
27-6. Okay, so Houston 27-6. I'm going to be even more bold. I say the Patriots get on the board. I think they get 10 points, but I'm going to say the Texans get 4 more points on top of 27. I'm going to say 31-10.
Ooh, big win, big win.
I think it's going to be a huge one. I think C.J. Stroud's going to prove that he's very elite, and he'll lead the Texans into Foxborough and upset a lot of Bostonians. So now we have the 2-3 New Orleans Saints taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you didn't know that Derek Carr is going to be, I think he's out for a couple of weeks, so they are starting their backup in this one. I'm going to have to change my pick because I didn't know that until I've read that just earlier, but I'll get your predictions for this one.
I mean, you just said it. Saints ain't winning. All right. I mean, they were already looking rough last week, even with Carr. It was shaky, to say the best.
Yep.
So, which team are the Saints playing, sorry?
The Buccaneers.
Oh, yeah. Big show. Story to watch in this one's going to be Lattimore and Evans, obviously. That's a huge rivalry since they've been in the league. It's every time they play, it's a tough battle. Yep. One of them's probably going to get ejected. It usually happens. But Bucs are going to take this one. Their defense is probably going to finally do something against this quarterback who's just going in for his first career start. So,
yep.
I mean, it's going to be ugly. He's probably going to get them on the board, though. Let's go. That's too many points. Let's go 28-10.
Ooh. Man, I'm like pretty much dead on with my prediction. I'm going to say 27-12 for the Buccaneers. I'd be very surprised if the Saints made this a close one. I know we always talk about how division matchups they are normally close, but when you lose a starting quarterback like Derek Carr, it's hard to get out of that hole.
100%.
To make this interesting. So I'm going to circle Tampa Bay and take my little circle off of New Orleans since I know Derek Carr is not going to be the starter now. So now this one here, you either will love it or hate it, but we have the Philadelphia Eagles who are just coming off their bye week. They're sitting at 2-2, and they're taking on your lovely Cleveland Browns.
Stop! Dude! My apologies.
You're good, man. You're good. What happens with Alexa, it's very unpredictable.
You just started talking. All right, I apologize. I didn't hear what you said there.
No, you're good. Before I say that again, I'll say I have an Alexa as well, and like every morning, on the mornings that I'm home at like 7 in the morning, it'll say good morning, and it'll tell you the weather without even asking. So I feel like it's just programmed in Alexa to say whatever they want to say.
Leave me alone. All right.
Unless I say your name, shut up.
That's what I mean.
So sorry. Yeah, we're at the Eagles 2-2. They're coming off their bye week, taking on your Cleveland Browns at 1-4.
It's bad, Ian. It's bad. I mean, I know that he's going to start this week, but I really wish that Winston would start. Please bench Watson at this point. On behalf of the fans, please. I can't watch another game like that. How many offensive yards did the Browns even have last week?
Who knows?
Under 100? Probably. Like, it was... It's not fair to anyone. It's not fair to the players. It's not fair to the coaches. It's not fair to the fans.
No.
It's not... What he's playing, it ain't football. It's pretty clear to see. So, at some point, you got to realize that something's not working out. You got to change something, right? Whether that is the coach or if that's your quarterback or whatever it is. at least give Jameis a shot. One game, see if they play just as bad with him and go from there, but give him a shot at least. But the Browns aren't winning. We're not winning the game with Watson.
You have nothing to lose by starting Jameis at all. I'll just say that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But yeah, I don't see the Browns winning a game until Watson hits the bench.
Okay.
Probably not going to score a whole lot either. Let's go 27-13.
27-13. That sounds pretty good. I'm going to give the Eagles the edge in this one as well. I'm going to say 26-14. I think it's going to be definitely a 10-point margin. I'd be very shocked if it came close. Now, obviously, if the Browns won, I'm sure you'd be jumping for joy if they could come away with a win in the city of brotherly love. But just depending on how they do, and maybe if they do start Jameis, they have a chance. I mean, he was a starting quarterback for Tampa Bay for X amount of years, so it's not like he doesn't have experience.
Yeah, and I mean, he had some success with the Saints as well. So, I mean,
yeah.
All I'm really looking forward to is Chubb getting back on the field here. So, I don't believe it's this week. From what I'm reading on the web, it's looking like next week he should be coming back here. So, hopeful.
And if you get a good run game, then that could really help out whoever the starting quarterback is, whether it's Watson or Winston, because they obviously won't have to throw the ball as much. So, I mean, if you get Chubb back on the line, that could be a huge for this team moving forward. All right, in the AFC South, we have the Tennessee Titans, who just came off their bye week. They're sitting at 1-3 against the Colts, who we just talked about at the start, who are 2-3. The Titans are home in this matchup. What do you got in this contest?
Who do you have in this contest?
All righty, I'll be bold, and I'm going to say the Titans come away with this one. I know they're not favored, and I know they're playing so poorly, but I think that they got a lot to prove, and well, obviously Will Levi is the starting quarterback for them. There's no question about it who their franchise quarterback is. But I'm going to say Titans take this one 20-15.
I disagree.
There we go.
Because don't quote me again on this, but I'm 95% sure that Richardson's playing this week. Richardson ain't losing this game. All right? It's a divisional matchup. He wants to prove that he's better than Levis. Same draft year. I just can't wait to see what kind of meme Will Levis turns into after this week. I don't know if it's going to be him diving out after an interception, on his knees again, crying again on the sideline. Oh, man. He's just comedy. I love it, but I'm definitely taking the Colts in this one.
Okay.
Another division matchup. It's going to be close. Let's go 31-27.
Sure, sounds good. Finally, we finally didn't see eye to eye on one pick. So as long as we don't lose on the other picks, we'll see how this one fares out. Alrighty, now this one's probably the most intriguing one for me. Obviously, being a Broncos fan, they're finally above 500 on the 3-game winning streak, taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, who just came off of their bye week. They're sitting at 2-2. You're going to have the older coaches with Sean Payton, and I believe it's Jim Harbaugh, right, for the Chargers, or is it John?
I think it's Jim.
I always get those two mixed up.
Always. Every time. It's honestly just a guess.
You think their parents is like, hey, let's come up with 2 different names. No, let's both start with J.
Jim and John. Jimmy John. He's joking? Come on.
So who do you got in this matchup?
Oh, coming off of a bye. Is Herbert healthy?
Yep.
I'm going to take the Chargers.
Okay.
I haven't seen quite enough out of the Broncos to say that they're going to win this kind of divisional matchup.
Yep.
I just haven't seen quite enough yet. I do have a lot of faith in Knicks after what I've seen these past couple weeks, but this is definitely a prove-it game for them, and I just don't quite think that they're there. But I'm going to take the Chargers. Again, another close game. Let's go. They're going to miss a kick. It's going to be 20 flat.
Okay.
To 18.
20-18. Sounds good. You know what's crazy is I made my prediction, and it was also by 2 points. 19-17. I'm going to go with my Broncos. Up until this week, I was never. I don't think I picked them. I've always picked against them only because of the inconsistency and how poor they played before. But I think they finally get a win. I'm pretty sure we've always split at least the series with the Chargers, but I think it's going to be close. Now, if the Chargers win, I wouldn't be surprised, as you mentioned, that with a healthy Herbert and obviously with a genius coach in Jim/John Harbaugh, which we never figured that out. They can easily win this game. There's no question about that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But I just got to go with my heart and soul. I think the orange and blue walk away with the division matchup, and this is going to be huge because if they get to 4-2, then we can start talking. Okay, maybe there's hope. Maybe we can start maybe bringing players in for trades rather than just always trading players away. Because for a decade, and I'm sure being a Browns fan, I'm sure you can relate, but for a decade, it's just been pain and misery, and it's just been heartbreak after heartbreak. Now we finally found our franchise quarterback, and I'm hoping that he can succeed moving forward.
I hope we find ours in the upcoming draft.
No kidding. No kidding. So now we're staying in the AFC West. We have the Las Vegas Raiders 2-3 taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 3-2.
Steelers are winning this game.
Yep.
Let's not kid ourselves here. The Raiders don't look good. They just benched Minshew. O'Connell's coming in, so hopefully they can turn it around and bring some joy to the city of Vegas. They're already happy enough, let's be honest here. But, yeah, the Raiders just are a little dysfunctional right now, if you will. Obviously, you have the whole Adams situation going on. They're just not looking too hot. And personally, I love what the Steelers are doing, even though they're in the same division as the Browns. I like Fields. I like that he's getting another shot. So I also like Pickens. He's just a menace on the field. I don't know if you saw last week. Very end of the game, he grabbed that guy's helmet and threw him down. So disrespectful, but I love it. So, I like the Steelers, at least at this point. So I'm going to take them to win this one. Let's go 23. I don't know why I think about this so hard. 23-17.
23-17.
I don't want all my games to be the same.
you gotta change it up. I get it. No, I understand. I'm also going to go with the Steelers in this one. Whether they start Fields or Wilson, because Wilson was supposed to get the start this week, so we'll see. Either way, I just think they are a better overall team, offensively, defensively. And when you have a genius coach like Mike Tomlin, who's guaranteed to be in the Hall of Fame once his career is done, you really can't go wrong with that. There's a reason he's never been below 500, and it just goes to show. It doesn't matter who his starting quarterback is; he's always in it to win it. And for Vegas, they've always had issues. They've always had confrontations. This isn't anything new for players wanting to leave. I mean, the only thing I find so crazy is that Adams wanted to go to Vegas 2 years ago because he's close to his family and stuff, and now because he's struggling, now he wants out. So just because you're closer to your family and your friends doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to succeed.
Well, he came to Vegas for Carr, didn't he?
Well, yeah, that, and then also because he has family, I guess, around that area. That's why you.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. All I heard was Carr.
Yeah, no, Carr was the other factor because they did play together in college. But, it's not like they came into the league. It's not like they're a Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase where they just graduated and they're still playing together. Like, it was a good 10+ years between them playing together. So obviously a lot can change.
Yeah, 100%.
Alrighty, 1, 2, 4 more games. So we got the Carolina. Let's turn the light on here. There we go. Get a little bit of light here. There we go. Even more light. We have the Carolina Panthers. We just talked about struggling 1-4, taking on the 3-2 Atlanta Falcons.
Short and sweet on this one. Falcons are running them very easily. The Panthers are just not a good football team at this point, and probably for the rest of the season. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm sorry, Panthers fans, but I just have I got no silver lining for you. I'm going to be dead honest. It's going to be a rough one again. Let's go 27-7.
Oh, wow. I had the Falcons 27-10, so I think 27 is a very good number, to say the least.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Kirk's going to be cooking. So we got the Dallas Cowboys playing host to the Detroit Lions. The Cowboys obviously coming off a huge week 5 victory against Pittsburgh. It was 3-2, and the Lions just came off a bye week 3-1. And even though the Cowboys are home, who do you got in this matchup?
This is a 2:00 game, correct?
I think this is 2:00. Yeah.
Phew! I was going to say, if it's Sunday Night Football, the Lions are screwed. But it's in the afternoon, so we're good.
Yep.
Taking the Lions. I don't like the Cowboys right now. They make me angry. I don't know what it is. I think it's just they're so hyped up every single year, and then they do nothing. Usually they do something in the regular season and then nothing in the postseason. This year they ain't doing nothing, period.
No.
Dak and CD seem to be about a divorce, frankly. It's not looking like they have a very good relationship right now.
No.
And, I mean, yeah, they're just not looking good. I don't like what I'm seeing. And the Lions culture is just amazing. I mean, Dan Campbell has built an empire over there. He would die for his players, and his players would die for him. And I mean, they got a family over there. They don't have a football team. They all play together, and I like what I'm seeing over there. So I'm going to take the Lions in this one. I'm going 30-17.
32-17.
30-17. Sorry.
30-17. Sorry. I'm with you on this one. I believe the Lions will get the victory in this one. I'll say 24-21. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that they're going to be a little bitter because I don't know if you remember last year when they went into Dallas and it looked like they were going to win, but because there was that confrontation about how the lineman didn't notify the referee about him being eligible, then obviously that cost the Lions the game. So they got a bit of a chip on their shoulder. And the thing with that game was, if they had to beat Dallas that time, they would have got the number 2 spot in the NFC rather than falling to number 3. So they got a lot to prove to themselves and to everybody else. And yeah, I am 100% with you. I love Dan Campbell. I think he would run through a wall for his team and vice versa, like you just finished saying. There's just something about this team. Like, they're going to be very competitive for years to come. It's not like this is just a fluke that they're doing well this year. They obviously won last year, and they went on a bit of a run 2 years ago, but they just fell short of getting into a playoff spot. So I believe they will go into Dallas and take down America's team. And I'm so sick of hearing about America's team. They're not America's team. They haven't won a championship since '95. Get that logo and get it out of here.
Exactly. Well spoken.
The Sunday night matchup is going to be a bit of a dud, to say the least, as the New York Giants 2-3 take on the 1-4 Cincinnati Bengals. I remember I saw a post a couple days ago. They were trying to see if they could move the Ravens game to Sunday, only because they know that this Giants and Bengals game is going to be pretty poor. And I think it's going to be very, very slow. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot of scoring, if I'm going to be that honest with you. But before I get to my take, what's yours?
I mean, I'm hoping the Bengals can get on track because they're fun to watch when they are on track. But Burrow's playing out of his mind statistically. I mean, you look at it, he's first in almost every quarterback stat. But the team just ain't winning. And, I mean, that just proves that just because you have a star quarterback, if the rest of your team's not playing well, you're not going to succeed. It takes a village, as they say. So, I mean, I'm hoping for my record's sake that the Bengals win this game because I'm not taking the Giants. You think I lost my toque? Come on now. I ain't taking the Giants. On Sunday night, it's not happening. Danny Dimes don't shine in the light.
Nope.
Right? Yeah, I mean, they'll probably have a couple cool moments. Malik Neighbors will probably have a big catch, but end of the day, they ain't winning. Probably a low-scoring game here, like you said. Let's go 17-11.
Wow, that's crazy. I have the 17-13, so I feel like we're kind of pretty much like in sync when it comes to certain scores. But yeah, I got the Bengals in this one, and I remember when I made my predictions on my other videos that I do. I said if Cincinnati does not win this one, I'm never predicting they will win in the rest of the season because if you can't beat the Giants, you got no hope of making the playoffs.
Ouch. That hurts, Ian. That hurts. The Browns lost to the Giants.
Yeah, but I mean, the Bengals, they had so much hype because like this was supposed to be their year. You know what I mean?
True. Very true.
So like this was supposed to be like they were supposed to run the NFC or AFC or North. They were supposed to be very competitive, and they've looked far from that. So yeah, if the Bengals lose, I think their playoff hopes are like very, very small, if they even have a chance at all. So yeah, the 100%. Bengals take this one. As you said, Daniel Jones. I mean, yeah, he won against the Seahawks, which was a fluke, but he ain't winning against Joe Burrow. Let's be honest with you. he shouldn't, at least. He shouldn't.
Exactly.
The last game has the Monday night matchup, which is the AFC East with the New York Jets 2-3 that just came off a Week 5 loss against the Vikings, and the Buffalo Bills, who came off a Week 5 loss against the Houston Texans. So one of these two teams are going to look to get back in the win column. Who do you got?
Bills are hungry. They want this game.
Yep.
They wanted last week. They didn't get it. They're coming back this week, and they're going to get it.
Yep.
Divisional matchup. Josh Allen wants it bad. I'm going to call 2 touchdowns on the ground for Allen in this one and 2 in the air. 4 total touchdowns for Allen. We're going. Does James Cook run 1 and 2? Yeah.
There we go.
38-24.
Wow. 38-24. That is crazy. I got the Bills 34-17. I don't see how, even though we have talked about how in the division matchups they should be close, but I mean, let's face it, the Jets are inconsistent. They just fired their head coach, and Aaron Rodgers. I got to say, and you can disagree, but I feel like his age is starting to show. He's not Tom Brady. He's not going to be playing until he's 44. Like there's no way.
No, a shell of his former self, if you will.
Yeah. So. It's a damn shame because he had a fantastic career with the Packers, obviously winning the Super Bowl back in 2010, 2011. But since then, he's made very little noise in the playoffs. And I just think unless they can land Devontae Adams, get reunited with Aaron Rodgers, I just don't see how the Jets could possibly even fare well in the AFC. I mean, if they lose this game, they're down to 2-4. And then good luck trying to climb out of the base because if my Dolphins happen to win, then you're a game behind them. And then if say hypothetically, well, I'll say this before I let you go. Say the Jets do lose and say the Patriots win, they're tied with the Patriots, you know what I mean, for last in your division. And that's saying a lot. Like there was a lot of hype last year when Rodgers got traded. They were supposed to be like a Super Bowl or bust team. He got hurt in the first quarter, didn't play the rest of the season. And even though his stats aren't terrible this year, I mean, you could have great stats, but just like you talked about with the Bengals, if you're having great stats and your record is poor, what are they really going to look at? Are they going to look at your individual stats? Are they going to look at the overall team?
Exactly. Record at the end of the day, only the record matters, right?
Yep.
Everyone's going for that Super Bowl. That's what you're playing for. You're not playing to throw for 4,500 yards in a season. You're playing to win. So, I mean, it's that simple, honestly.
It's not that complicated, but I know people that love stats, they're all about that. Like, oh my God, he has been such a great statistical season. It's like, yeah, well, how's the team doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty. Well, as always, I really appreciate this, man, and I'm really hoping we can continue this every single Wednesday. We'll see how we do with our records. I think, honestly, there was just the one game that we were different on. That's the Indy and Tennessee game. Everything else, I think we picked hand in hand. So if all the teams happen to lose, then we might be going like 1-13 this week. But it just depends.
Just an awful record. Just over. Just 0-14. Just awful.
If that's the case, then I might just be like, I'm done with predictions. Like, screw this. They're just screwing me up anyway. So no. But,
yeah, I'm switching to cricket after that.
I'll bet on golf before I bet on week number 7. I got
exactly.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate this. Thank you very much, and we will be in touch. And I can't wait to do this again next Wednesday.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
No worries, buddy. We'll see you then.
Alrighty.
Yeah.